Hello everyone, I'm International Master Oskar Wieczorek,
Hello, I am Women Grandmaster Katie Kazan.
and this is the Italian Super League, round 7, the last round.
Yeah, we have the last round, and um, we have very important games
Yes.
because some of the teams are fighting to stay in the league, um, and the others are fighting for the top places.
So the decisive round today, a lot of interesting duels. Also, we would like to remind that there are 4 teams that go down in this Liga, so a big fight to stay in the Liga. And today we have those fights online here, so we are going to have a look at all of this. Also very interesting match in the women's section where both very strong teams play together. Fischer Chieti versus Caixa Italia Pentole Agnelli.
Are they fight for the top places?
Yeah, that's true. If you have a look at the results, we could. Also very important match on the match number 2, Chieti versus Lazio Scacchi. This is the fight for the top places, and we should have a look at the
Yeah.
standings.
Um,
Let's first look at the women's section.
um,
Alright, so we have Caixa Italia Pentole Agnelli, the sole leader with 12 points. Fischer Chieti, second place with 10 points.
So the difference between that teams are 2 points. And, okay, the last round is very important for them, the last round results.
And we see also that small points that Caixa Italia Pentole Agnelli is leading by 4 points. So in order for Chieti to fight for the first place, they need to win 4-0, right? It seems to me. They need 4 points here.
Oh. Yeah, well, this is a quite not easy because the opponents are
Very strong. So we have Elisabeth Patz from Germany on the first board.
There are equal fights on the boards.
Yes, but in chess everything is possible, so it's still possible. I wonder what is the third criteria for the results here. And I think it's the match between the teams. So Chieti is still fighting probably for the first place. And also there is Obiettivo Risarcimento Padova very close to them with 9 points. So they also fight
for
the second place. So very interesting duels here. We are happy to see such strong players. To have a look at the games. So let's start with the first board. Sochko Monika facing Pets Elizabeth from Germany. Both very strong players, 24-50. Both. So d4, e6. So probably she was hoping for e4 here, transposing to the French defense, but c4 happened. b6. So this is Queen's Indian defense. a3. So this is to avoid, of course, bishop b4 check here. In case of knight c3, probably bishop b4 at this point, or first bishop b7. I don't know, Katie, you have some knowledge about this opening. This is kind of unusual position to me. So I think bishop b4 here is a good move.
Um, I can say it's a good move or a bad move. It's like, um, I don't know.
Do
Here,
you
many,
first develop bishop to b7 or bishop to b4, or I don't know,
maybe some F5s are happening here.
f5? Yeah.
Not here, but
Then what about b4? Looks bad. So maybe this is about bishop b4 here, and not bishop e7, obviously. So a3, bishop b7, knight c3, f5. So the fight here is over the e4 square. That's why a3 was played. A3 was played to stop this possibility of bishop developing to b4. So we've got, and d5, very unusual to me to see such moves in a very early stage of the game. But d5 looks very good. It blocks the bishop. It seizes some space in the center.
F5 just happened after bishop this. I'm sorry, I was just focusing on the.
I mean, but it was after a3.
Okay.
So I was wondering what about knight c3 here. Let's go back to the game. d5, very interesting setup in the center to put your pawn on d5, blocking the b7 bishop, and even threatening maybe some attack on the e6 pawn. Looks very interesting to me, but I think okay, d5 maybe was played after 3 minutes of thinking, so that may be some novelty in this position. Knight f6, d takes e6. So Monica decides to trade the queens and uh, play against those weaknesses in the black structure. So I expect some alright bishop g5. So white is a bit better in the development. She can right. We need to have some technical break, so we're gonna be back soon. Hello everyone, welcome back after the quick technical break. And let's go back to the Sochko Pets Elizabeth game. So bishop g5 was played. Monica is hoping for the quick development with probably the long castle,
check.
but it was postponed, so there is no need to hurry. It was played after 4 moves, so she first plays knight f3. Maybe she leaves her the possibility to castle short.
Yeah.
So bishop d6 and knight d4, attacking the e6 pawn.
Yeah, this F5 pawn looks not very natural for me on that
You mean
place.
this pawn, right?
Yes, because any case E6 is a weak. I need to protect it.
With king to e7.
Okay, so
and
far
f3.
so far it's okay. F3. Does she wants to play E4?
Not really.
No, yeah. I don't.
Oh, or okay, let's say some empty a6, e4, f takes e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes
Even
the
H6
fleet,
can be played here.
h6. I was thinking about some bishop takes e4, f takes e4, and some simple knight e5. Okay, there is the weakness on c6, but it's not so easy to attack, and black has this very beautiful knight on e5.
Knight even can jump on c5 to attack e4 pawn.
Yeah, that's true, but maybe not now or even now. Alright, so knight e5 was played. Very unusual way of playing such positions with both sides.
Yeah,
So long castle, is it?
it's a
Pawn sacrifice. What about knight takes c4? Then I think Monica wants to play e4 with tempo. And where is knight going to go? Probably somewhere here, because this is not a really good spot for him. So knight e5 and then he takes f5, and white has a very good position, attacking chances, and also this is being threatened,
yeah.
right? So she has to probably take, and then the structure is completely spoiled. Knight takes d6, c takes d6, and of strategically winning position for white. Let's say maybe knight b5 right now, attacking directly the d6 pawn. Then knight can come to d6. Also, the bishop may be very annoying. I don't know, to place it on this diagonal. So white is definitely better, and that's why the c4 pawn is poisoned for black. So h6 was played. Also very logical decision to push the bishop. So bishop f6, g takes f6, and I feel like black has nothing to worry about here. She she's got the bishop pair. The pawns are the structure is nice. I think there are no big weaknesses
Yeah, I
for
think it's
now.
very nice structure in the center.
Yeah, for black,
Yeah.
bishop pair, rook g8 can create some pressure on the king side, attacking g2.
And this bishop is still in the f1 bishop. I mean,
Yeah, it's blocked.
still in
It's still in the house. So, okay, if white played some b3, let's say, okay, e3 is pretty much forced here, and it was played by Monica after 2 minutes of thinking. Rook hg8, creating this pressure on g2. Also very logical move, and I would prefer to play this position with black. What about you, kid?
yeah.
You too.
Yeah.
That's right. So now let's look at the second board. Brunello Marina is playing Zimina Olga.
Actually, they both are the members of the team,
Of the national team, and they were both present in Baku this year on the chess Olympiad. So again, we've got the Italian game on the board. Gioco Piano. We've talked about this a lot with Matteo before. So bishop c4, bishop c5, b3, again c3, short castling d6, and h3, rook bishop b6. So usually I would expect some bishop b3 here, but rook e1 was played, knight to e7, knight bd2, knight g6. Again, the classical maneuver that was mentioned yesterday. This knight c6, knight g6, then c6, maybe d5. So knight f1, and also white
wants to take some f f5 squared, I guess.
Yeah, this maneuver, the same maneuver that black does. c6, bishop b3, because and we've got some symmetrical structure, and actually almost. So let's say rook e8, knight g3, h6, and we've got a symmetrical structures. So h6 was played, knight g3, and Olga decided not to go for the symmetrical structure, and she broke the symmetry by playing knight 8 to h7. So she
Even
decided.
though there are some possibilities to keep this.
symmetry.
Yeah, because
I mean,
also white can play knight h2, so.
I mean, knight
Yeah.
h2 now. Okay, so apparently Olga decided that her rook on f8 could be useful.
For
So
F open F
probably,
file.
or even it is not that bad to have this rook here to even defend simply the f7 pawn. And Marina played d4, so looks like because knight from retreats from f6 and sort of changes the pressure in the center.
Mm-hmm.
It's now on the rim, so d4 was played immediately. I feel like it's a very logical decision. Whenever your opponent retreats from the center, just attack in the center. So queen e7 was played, and we have this position. And I would prefer white still. I don't know. Even black has to worry about some knight f5 here, because in case of bishop takes e5, f5, e takes f5, and suddenly this rook is
Yeah, also
very,
knight has not.
has no place
Okay,
other
can
than
come on
h8, but
h4.
yeah, also to h4, but still this position
Now pin on e file is really
annoying.
unpleasant.
But there's
Yeah.
also some looks good for white. So definitely knight f5 is a move to consider here. Let's look at the third board where pa- Gaia Paolillo is facing De Rosa Maria Grazia, and I hope Hikaru is watching us right now because this game is maybe very important for him. If you are watching us, Hikaru, please type something in the chat. So knight f6, c4, g6, g3. Some King's Indian with g3. Considered to be a solid weapon against King's Indian defense. So castle d6, d4. Okay, there are actually a lot of plans for black here. The main move is knight c6, of course. There's also c5 here, also possible, but it transposes very often to the same positions: knight c3, knight c6, d5, knight to a5. Sorry, that's some
Uh,
challenge. I'm just 24.
okay.
I would love to play some game, but we need to go back to commentary. So knight c3, bishop. Okay, I was talking about this position. C5 is another story, but it often transposes to the same position. So let's say knight c3, knight c6, d5, knight to a5, knight d2, a6. And this is a typical structure here. Black's plan is to play b5 to maybe double his rooks on the b line and create some pressure here. So often it goes something like this: queen c2, b5. Even now I think it's possible because this is sort of Benko gambit uh, when you can really sacrifice this pawn, play some bishop a6, then maybe some knight c4. I don't know, but you can support this plan with bishop d7 and b5. So the game is usually goes like this, that black tries to create pressure here. On the other hand, the knight on a5 is very bad piece, because how to bring him to the game? If you go to b7, you can only go to d8, then maybe you free some space on f7 and finally e5. But this is a very long march. So this is very complicated position. Often there are some ideas when you let's say bishop b2, rook b8, rook b1. Black tries to play against the c4 pawn, rook b4, and let's say a3, and people will sometimes sacrifice here. This is typical idea. Knight takes c4. Now the knight is finally in the game. There are some tricks here. Bishop f5, I don't know. So this is the typical idea to also attack the c4 pawn. So knight c6, knight c3, and bishop g4. This is basically very similar. It may transpose almost to the same position that we have talked before. So d5 is possible here. Knight to a5 and knight to d2, c5. Now it's pretty much forced because b4 is being threatened, and this knight has no place to go. So c5 and then h3, bishop to d7, and then we're again in the same position. But Maria Grazia chose to play bishop take h3 here, which is another variation, and bishop takes f3 is forced because bishop d7 wouldn't be good in this way, because there is no function for the bishop.
I think like needs some changes, some changes here, because yes, she has not enough space to like maneuver the pieces. Even though she's given up a very nice bishop.
So this is the very idea of this bishop g4 variation. After h3, knight comes to d7, e3, e5. This is the idea of this variation. So d5 is pretty much forced. This is also possible, but black is really nice placed here. So bishop e2 would be forced because the c4 pawn is hanging, or maybe, alright, d5, knight to e7, e4, f5. So this looks like typical King's Indian position, but it's without the white squared bishop. So usually the plan here is not to go alright, f5, bishop g5, h6, bishop e7. So she's trading here. I don't quite understand this idea. I know there are some games here with bishop g5, bishop takes e7, but
obviously she felt a danger coming up with f4 maybe, and that's why she wants to get some cameras, or I don't know. In this particular position, I don't think it's a very danger.
I think bishop g2 is the main line here, and it goes something like knight f6, then you trade on f5, g takes f5, and some f4 in the
s4, e4, bishop e3, getting d4 square.
That's right, and after f4, f4, the f5 pawn may be very weak because there is no natural defender, which is bishop on d7. And after e4, you always allow white to take over control of the d4 square. So there are some plans with knight e2, knight d4, knight e6, very unpleasant for black. So this is, I think, this bishop g2 is the main line. The question is, what about f4 right now? Or maybe she could trade at this point to avoid f4, because in this way f4 is met with knight to e4, creating a very strong knight on e4. So let's have a look at the game. Bishop b5, h6, bishop takes e7, queen takes e7. I feel like the position is pretty much equal. Black's plan is very easy here. She wants to play f4 or to advance her pawns here. Or maybe f4 is right now not a good option
But
because
f4 can be followed by g4 across the king side, and because of the pawn structure, this d5 pawn, white has a very nice play on the queen side before
I don't feel like it's very
g5.
dangerous this play right now because there is no
Bishop, okay.
black square bishop and c5 maybe not so strong.
Actually, like bishops are missing in the both.
You know,
Yes,
yeah, for
white needs your black bishop to dark square bishop to play c5, and black needs the white color bishop to make some
threats to the
yeah
king.
thinking.
Okay, let's look at the fourth board. We've got Silvia Guarini versus Di Premio Eugenia. And again, this is the Italian game. Let's have a quick look. D3 again, and here we go again. Bishop B3, and I think Marina played here rook to A1 or H3 first. There are a lot of mm, move order issues in those variations. H3, rook E1, knight BD2, knight H5. A different approach I've never seen before. So knight F1, queen F6,
This
knight
knight
F4.
comes on f4 in one move, not e7, g6, f4.
So queen F4, 93, 97. Very normal position. So let's go back to the men's section.
Yes.
And on the first board, Obiettivo Risarcimento Padova, World Trading Club 64, Leko Peter playing Stella Andrea. Very interesting duo, I feel. Knight F3 and E6, and we've got open Sicilian. Is it the first time live that we see this? No, it
No,
was
we had
the
already.
rouser attack in the game. Alberto David versus Bellia. No, maybe it was not Bellia. So okay, C takes D4, Knight takes D4, Knight F6. So we've got the classical Scheveningen variation, which is not considered to be, which nowadays is not considered to be uh, very safe because of G4. The Keras attack is very serious weapon against this kind of structure. So G4, H6, Bishop E3. I know the main plan here is to play H4, and there are some problems in those variations. Bishop E7. Now G5 is not possible, but it's possible, of course, but it's not considered to be good. This structure favors black a bit because of this pawn. So people play rook G1 mainly in this position, threatening G5. This has to be met with D5 because there must be some counterplay in the center, because otherwise white plays after, let's say, A6, immediate G5, H takes G5, H takes G5, let's say knight FD7, G6, completely destroying black structure and playing upon the king in the center. So, but bishop e3 is another story. Knight c6 and h3, and I know that in this setup there is some interesting plan to play without h6. You can play bishop d7, bishop g2. Let's say the knight comes immediately to e5, something like this. Queen e2, rook c8, and looks very nice for black because he creates a lot of pressure here. Knight can jump straight to c4, queen to a5. There are possible rook sacrifices.
Yeah.
Very typical in the Sicilian to sacrifice the rook on c3. But a6 is also possible, of course, and f4. So Peter plays in this way f4 without bishop g2. Very interesting. So I would play, you would consider bishop d7, but I don't know what theory says here. So queen c7 was chosen by Andrea. Bishop came to g2. Looks like a good version of this variation. Knight to a5. And we are happy to see Peter playing in this aggressive manner. Very sharp position. Queen to e2. So Black's plan is to move his knight to c4, and you have to decide what to do about it. So often it's possible, but maybe not, of course not in this position, to play queen e2, knight c4, let's say, bishop back to c1, then b3, let's say here b3, knight to a5 again, and bishop on b2. This is very very popular reaction to this plan. So what Andrea wants, but very simple solution, was chosen by Peter. He played queen e2, knight c4, and the long castle, and
just leave this bishop on the board under the attack knight.
Yes, that's true, but he wants to develop his pieces very fast because black is underdeveloped, and very strong attack may happen here. g5, e5. Oh, I think it may be about e5. So again, we have this pattern. Andrea plays bishop d7, so he doesn't want to trade right now. So we've seen this, I don't know, 2 or 3 times during this tournament. It's very important to remember that you can postpone those exchanges and wait. And Andrea's plan is very simple. He wants to play rook c8. So do some empty moves. Rook c8, creating a lot of pressure here. Rook back to h1, empty move again, and knight b2. Suddenly, well, black is winning. So
I mean, the knight on c4 is doing a great job, and no need to trade to the bishop yet.
That's true. The knight is very good here, and not only is attacking the e3 bishop, but also creating some pressure here. So king b1 by Peter, rook c8 and bishop to c1. Very logical to defend both the bishop and finding for him the nice shelter here. Also,
this bishop really is a good defender of the position. And,
the only trick left
like
right
after,
now.
After rook d1, black should take maybe on e3.
You mean here? Right now. I feel like e5 is a serious threat here. How to defend? If you play e5 yourself, then knight jumps to f5, probably, or even knight d5, something like this. And this may be very dangerous, and that's why Andrea played rook c8, bishop c1, and also this is typical to support something like this with e5. e5 creates a lot of mess in the center, so he wants to have to play on the black squares, or d takes e5 or knight takes e5. So of course f takes e5 would be a blunder. Let's say maybe d takes e5, even opening the bishop and threatening something like bishop before. Knight takes e5 is probably too slow because black is underdeveloped and can be made by moves like this. So knight f5. If bishop takes f5, then e takes f5, opening the bishop, creating pressure on b7, and planning in the future crushing h4, g5. Black is underdeveloped, very bad position for black. So the idea of Andrea was to recapture it with the pawn. Then if the knight comes somewhere, let's say to f5, It's a very double-edged position, but at least the bishop, there are some perspective for black's pieces. I don't know, maybe this is not a bad move, or maybe it is, but maybe some classical g6 here. It's a very common pattern because this is not really weakening black's position. So knight to e3, some exchanges, and uh, maybe black looks okay here, even though there are some weaknesses. Knight d5 being threatened, but after e5, knight d5, and this is what we want to see, some very sharp position. The idea is this: if black grabs the knight, he takes d5, recaptures, and due to this pin, the knight is not hanging at all. So bishop e7 was played by Andrea to unpin the pawn, and knight f3
Keeping pressure on the knight.
gives the pressure in the center, and let's say short castle. Then there might be some threats to the king, some g5 maybe. The king may be in a very dangerous spot here. I don't know, what about this move? Or f5 immediately, hoping for this attack. Also needs to be considered. I don't see any counterplay for now. For black, bishop b5, then probably I could just play queen to f2, and there is no further development for black here. So, but Andrea is enjoying some time advantage. He's got 30 minutes more on the clock, 25 actually. So let's look at the second board. Petkov playing Brunello, and we are still in the opening here, and very nice pawn a march here, a5, a6. What was the opening? It was Catalan with b5. Very interesting idea, stopping c4. We see this also in the green field with reverse side. It's even a bit better with one tempo more. It's always better in one tempo more, with one tempo more. So we are still in the opening here, so let's look at the other games. David Alberto playing Angelo Damia. e4. Very happy to see e4 again. Knight f6. Alekhine defense. The first time in this tournament we see something like this. e5, knight d5. And I've seen some video on YouTube where Carson was playing with black versus Fresine, who's his sparring partner probably. So he played the title of the video was like Carson is making fun of his opponent, and it went like this: e5, knight to g8. And of course Magnus won his game with black, because Magnus is Magnus, and no doubt about it. So knight d5 of course is the best response, not knight g8, because it gives white too tempty for nothing. So knight to d5. Black is playing against this center, trying to play upon the e5 pawn, d6, d takes e5. So d4, d6, c4, knight c4 immediately. The main line here is to play knight f3. Bishop g4, bishop a2. This is the main line, and there are a lot of possibilities for black. He can play e6, followed by knight c6. So let's say the short castling, knight c6, c4, knight to b6. Now knight c3, I guess, or Maybe knight c6 is too early. Maybe you have to play bishop e7 first, c4, knight b6, knight c3. There is this old line with short castle, bishop to e3, and then there are some games with d5, c5, bishop takes f3, g takes f3, and the old classical line, which is not considered to be very good for black because of this f4, f5 attack, also g5 on the g5.
King on g8 looks so
Exposed to the attack, that's
incredible.
right. So this is one possibility. The other one is to play, I think, even knight c6 immediately, then it goes something like this. Or after bishop e7, c4, knight b6, knight c3, and knight c6. And there, it's pretty much forced to trade right now because if e5 pawn is being attacked, so e takes d5, c takes d5, and there are two possibilities: either bishop e3, playing the structure like this, bishop e3, the short castling b3, and some d5. This is one possibility. The other one is to play d5 here, d5, and a lot of a lot of game here. Okay, so let's go back to the game. He played c4 immediately and going for this structure that I have mentioned before, but developing his bishop to g7. This is another idea, and very clever play by okay, this is theory still. This is the way to play this variation. The idea is if you move your knight to f3 right now, then bishop comes to g4, pinning the knight. So you don't want to allow this pressure on the d4. So that's why you postpone knight f3 and play rook c1. So black can also postpone bishop g4, the short castling, b3, knight c6, but now not knight f3, bishop g4, which by the way I don't think is a very big mistake. It's just the matter of it's better to play d5 instead of knight f3. This is Alberto's idea. Okay, if you play knight f3 here, you can expect your opponent to play bishop g4, and so the typical idea for black is to play d5 here, c5, knight c8. And this is the very interesting structure. White's plan is to advance his pawn on the queen side. Black's plan is to attack the d4 pawn. So the typical maneuver here is to play e6, then move the knight to e7, f5, creating this attack on the d4 pawn. So, but d5 was played, not allowing bishop g4, knight e5, and bishop e2, taking control over the g4 square. So still the fight for the g4 square, h5. I don't feel like it's a very good move here to play h5 at this stage of the game. I don't know, but he played it after 36 seconds, so maybe he was prepared here. Maybe he had some analysis, or there were some games in this particular position. So knight f3 was played. In case of knight g4, white is happy to go to d4, trading the bishops, and when the bishops are traded, then the black's king becomes very vulnerable to attacks. Queen d4 is a very nice move. It's always very pleasant to have the moves like this possible. You can wait right now, play some castling, and then maybe queen d4 check a bit. White is enjoying space advantage, so of course this is not a good move, knight g4 here. So that's why Angela goes for knight takes f3, g takes f4, bishop takes f3, and I prefer white here. I don't know what about you. because it looks very good. A lot of space advantage. This knight is really not doing anything on b6. Bishop may come to d4, creating trading this black square's bishop, and
Yeah,
also
the question is what, why pawn on h5?
you wanted to prepare knight g4, but apparently it's no longer needed. So, and also, what is the black's plan? You can't play really e6 because then there would be a lot of weaknesses here on b7. Very bad structure for black. Two hanging pawns, one on g6, one on h5. So not an option for black. So knight d7 was played. At least he wants to put his knight in c5, and this is something worse than the usual Marochiba. And when you have the pawn on e4, then it's better for black actually, because now
Of course, now white has e5, and after castling and rook e1, bishop also can jump on g5.
that's right, especially after this h5. So let's say rook a1, a5, securing the knight, bishop to g5, very unpleasant move. White's plan may be very easy, just to double on the e line, creating the pressure on a7, on e7. So very unpleasant position. So knight f5 was chosen, but I feel like the knight is not very safe here. It's vulnerable
Anyway, it's
to
gonna
f4.
be under attack by f4, and followed by f5 with 10 pawns.
But first we need to make sure that he cannot jump to g4 after f4. So, but knight g4 was played, and
Bishop d4.
bishop.
I like bishop d4.
Me too. I very much like this move. Maybe then just knight f6. I don't know, but still bishop d4 looks very nice. But Alberto chose to go to g5, creating this famous pressure on the e7 pawn. Bishop
And
f6.
yeah, black offers itself
offers
to trade the bishops.
offers himself. Yeah, but Alberto doesn't want to trade.
No, I don't need your freaking bishop. I go back.
All right,
I
but
think it's about the maybe knight's position on g4.
he's playing against this knight. It's possible, but what about bishop g7? Then it's all the same.
Then I can jump on e4 and g5.
Probably. I would just play here the simple chess bishop d4. Why not? There is a lot of space advantage for white. Alright, bishop g5, bishop f6, bishop d2, bishop f5, h3, knight a5, and bishop again u3. Maybe now he wants to go to d4. And this bishop looks nice, but
it's also can be possible to play knight b5, attack on a7, and after a6, knight jumps on d4, very nice square.
yeah, that's a very nice square for the knight with d.
Yeah, it seems like David wanted this place for knights, and he also needs the bishop on the board.
Okay, and now it's becoming very dangerous for black. In case of bishop d7, there comes immediate f4, and there is no place for the knight.
Oh.
So if he, this looks really bad after bishop c8.
But
again f4.
To keep this bishop on the board. f4 and followed by f5.
That's right, or even by some g4 or immediate f5. A lot of weaknesses here, so nice position for Alberto. And let's look at the last board. Bove Alessandro playing against Daniel. Sorry.
Oh, very interesting h5 pawn, I saw on the board.
So let's go quickly through the opening. Slav's defense. Knight c3, e6, knight h4,
Mhm.
bishop g6. Again, we've seen this a lot, the play against this this bishop, especially
Yeah,
during the last round,
we
the
have
previous
queen
one.
b3 and queen c7 followed by g3. But in this game, we have bishop d2. Actually, this is the main variations, if I remember.
So knight bd7, queen c2, still the main variation. Okay, bishop d6, h3, 7, long castling.
Yeah, that's the idea of bishop d2.
So
Now we have the
very double-edged position because
different sides castling, and it is clear where white plays and where black plays here.
alright, so the
And also, the
whites wants
center
to attack.
is not close, like buff. Okay, mostly black can open it with c5, 5 or e5.
Usually, whenever you play c5, you create a lot of weaknesses in the center.
Yeah, but look at this king on c5.
Yeah, but can go to b1 and be safe. So I think, okay, so that's right. It was king b1, c5,
Yeah.
g4, d takes c4, opening the position, knight d6 with tempo. I feel like the position is more or less equal still. D takes c5.
Equal, but they okay.
But still, white has bishop pair. Bishop pair is a bishop pair.
Yeah.
Rook ac8, g5, knight f to d5.
Okay, it's very nice that black keeps these knights in the pieces in the center, but I have a feeling that after c h4, h5, the king will be very alone.
Exposed, yeah. So it was played exactly h4, also making use of this queen. He's pointing to h7 and g6, so h5 is a serious threat right now. Bishop b4, h5. I was wondering, maybe first, I like to place my queen somewhere here. It looks very nice.
You want to
But
free c2 square for bishop, or you want
I
to
just want to put my queen here.
in the center?
But okay, it was maybe not possible because g5 was hanging, so that's why h4 is pretty much forced. Probably bishop b4. But now there is this unpleasant attack on the c3 knight. But h5 anyway. We like this very much to see some madness going on here. What about knight d5? I think it would be a quiet approach to play this. Knight recaptures now. Queen to d3. Excuse me, to e4. And white is very good in this position.
Yeah, seems like.
That is, yeah, the h5 still a threat, maybe. So bishop and white is forced to take with the pawn, but maybe the attacks is strong enough to compensate this small structure problem here. Very sharp position indeed. I don't know what to play with black.
Now g6 is hanging.
Yeah, maybe it would be clever to play knight. No, maybe
It's taken, and
h takes g6. Still, if we could somehow trade something, even without the pawn, black would be okay.
really.
I mean, trade queens somehow, but it's not possible. Alright, let's check this line, alright, because we want to play here. If you play here, then I play queen f5. Maybe I managed to trade the queens.
What about e4 right now?
e4. Probably winning on the spot. Knight c3 not working probably. Yeah, not working. It can be defended. I need to have a quick look at the end. Alright, knight f4 here.
Yeah, but it's very unpleasant being.
That's true. So looks suspicious for for black. Okay, let's look at the themes that are. Also, this match is very important
Let's see this
for the first. So again, Daniel Sadzikowski with white.
Maybe we can always see the current positions, not the from the very beginning, because
All right,
like
so
this you can see
let's
all
go.
the games. Oh, I see here is a very nice place, 94.
Very strong knight on b4. The other one on g6, not so strong, but still the bishop pair.
Some points on f4.
Still the bishop pair. Bishop pair is the bishop pair. So very complicated to evaluate who's really better here. Because on one hand the bishop pair, on the other has this weakness, this strong knight on d4, some weaknesses here. Black is well developed, so still I would favor white a bit. And what about some knight d5? After bishop takes d5, maybe I just want to take with this pawn and make use of my bishops, because I don't see for now the other plan for Daniel. Let's look at the second board where we have Ortega Lexi, tactical player playing versus Garcia, Palermo Carlos, and something really strange here. Queen is on b7, so look at the opening, because quick look at the opening, d4, c5. And this is alright. So after c5, some people may think, well, c4 and we play this, but
I
this
think c4 square is very nice
for the knight, yeah. So
it's a good for white play like these positions
without
c4.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So after c4, you transpose to either, I think, Benko after b5, or Benoni after something like e6, knight c3, e takes d5, c takes d5. But if your opponent plays c5 without, sorry, if plays c5 before c4 is played, then you can make use of it by knight c3, g6, e4, bishop g7, and a very problematic move for black, bishop b5 check. And there are a few ways of playing with black here. Actually, there are all the moves are possible. So knight bd7. After knight bd7, I think a4 is the best here, because if you castle, then you may see a6 on the board. Bishop comes back to e2 and b5 immediately. So you only lost one tempo here. So let's better play a4 and a6, bishop to e2, and this setup is not very good for black.
Yeah.
Usually, okay, if white plays bishop e2, Black just castles plays e6, tries to open a bit the position. Let's say h3, he takes d5, he takes d5, tries to trade pieces here, maybe knight a4, knight e4, no, a4, e4. That's why you play bishop b5 check. There's also this possibility, very interesting, on the short castling. No, a4, knight a to a6, short castling knight to c7, trying to gain some tempi.
Actually, I was expecting some very quick draws, as it's the last round and teams are about to remain the league in the for the next year. But all we have is just one draw.
That's very good. The
Yeah.
fighting spirit is with
Yes.
us today. So bishop d7 was chosen, a4, bishop takes b5, and you, of course, you take with the a pawn, creating, making use of this rule, creating some pressure here. I know the Polish Grandmaster Tomasz Markowski, and he's famous for playing this position. He's very good. He's making very good results with black, but I don't really feel good in such position. It's very cramped. There is no space for black's pieces. All you have is some passive play. But let's see at the game. The short castling knight bd7, so knight comes to b6. That's right, good squaring with the knight in such position. Rook a2, planning in the future to double on the a line. On the other hand, knight c4 is no longer threatening knight b2, so knight e8, queen a1, immediately very interesting approach. Knight c7, this is the pawn sacrifice, or it's not. Okay, let's say on now
Is it pawn sacrifice?
it's 2 pawn sacrifice, so this
Or
is just a
lose?
bad move when you. So the idea was to play queen e7, trying to capture the b5 pawn, and looks good for black. If white doesn't do anything, we say h3, then what? Then even knight b5 right now with a very good position for black. So queen a5 was played, knight c4, some tactics here, queen to a2, rook takes e7, queen takes e7, bishop takes e3, and what about b takes, so, excuse me, this bishop takes c3,
Okay,
b
it's
takes
okay. It
e3.
happens. Queen takes b5.
Now, probably the queen
And
is trapped, but
okay, it can come back, but a8 is hanging. You
rook
mean
a8, queen to b7, then I can,
uh,
what, a6, let's try to close this queen, but is there a way to trap it? Looks like
not yet?
not yet, so maybe some different move. Knight b5
Can be possible.
can be possible, but now queen a4, creating this unpleasant thing. Attacking the c4, so maybe let's take with the queen. Why not? So, of course, black's structure is now superior. Knight is very well placed. The rook a8 is being threatened, so the only thing for white is to go back with his queen. Then there is some activity, there is no counterplay, maybe e5 is not possible for now because the d5 pawn is hanging, so rook a8, queen somewhere here, and rook a2, and the position is of course better for black. Queen b2 coming, the c pawn, those pawns will be like weak, so that's it. Queen takes b7, that's why it was played. But what's going on here? b6 is being threatened, I feel. So this is the idea. If black just takes on b2, then we have
It's not
b6.
possible to play some like bishop.
Yeah, that's. I was thinking about this too. Blocking b6, but no.
b3.
b3, knight b6, and
Is it the extra piece on the board? Or?
Yeah, it is. It is, but okay, he has something in mind. Probably rook a1, like this. Bishop back to c3. Yeah, say bishop back to c3. Now after queen b6, no.
Rook can goes on a7.
And
after knight b a8.
here comes b6. So how to defend here with black? Both knights hanging. I'm thinking about some tactical blows here. Just something like this is possible.
Okay, it takes d5.
Queen takes b7, rook takes b7, knight takes d5, bishop to h6, probably, but black holds here. Maybe there's something better for white after this. I wonder here if we take and take, he takes d5, then this pawn may be very dangerous. Let's say knight b6, and now unfortunately after rook e7, unfortunately for white, there comes knight takes d5, but I'm pretty sure there are other moves here. If I play just bishop d2,
Or bishop h6 and followed by rook a6 and p6 to make this pawn strong.
or even rook 7. But then if I play this, you may.
Okay, this rook can never leave the flank. B7
Yeah, but I can play
coming.
some f6 and this. Even b7 right now. I play f6 or
You just get a very nice point after rook a8.
after. All right. So knight c7 here.
No, we can jump from c6 to c8. It's a bit annoying for black. Oh, not anymore.
So
Mm.
okay, very deep variation.
Yes, I'm lost. Oh my god.
And bishop. Let's go live. Let's go live.
Yes.
So I think bishop f5 has to be played. I don't see any other possibility. So we could expect something b3, knight b6, rook a1, bishop c3, rook a7. Something like this may happen in the game. So knight e takes d5. But I was wondering about this. Saying bishop. No, I was thinking about this. This. No, queen, of course. Queen to b7 or b7, knight d5, and oh no, it was queen d7, our variation knight takes d7 here, knight b6, and then for bishop d2. Because after bishop d2, knight takes d4, d2, knight d5, we get knight c4, then rook d8. maybe c4,
Maybe c4 is
just
rook
c4
e7.
and rook e7.
Let's
So
quickly move the other positions. Bombaldoni versus Colby, the third.
so
Forward.
we we are jumping to the to the third board, straight to the third board. Rombaldoni is it very similar to Alberto's game? I mean the position is very similar. It was not the Alekhine defense. So very similar structure, almost identical. Knight to c5, and as we've mentioned, this structure is superior to white. So rook c1, knight, and bishop d4. So Dennis is maybe is listening to
Yeah,
us,
we have some connection
and
microphones.
he's playing simple chess. So he just trades the bishops and trying to seize more space. Bishop d7 and rook e1. I very much like this way. d4, playing to play c5 at some point. So very. He's waiting, or he's keeping the pressure. This is very important, and this is what the top super GMs can. They are able to do it very well. They keep pressure. You never know where they so they resolve the pressure. So h6, bishop d3. What is this? Okay,
Yeah, it's a pretty dangerous to take on
c1 because
because
of
dark
queens.
squares are very weak in black's position.
So the only move knight f6 here and queen to h6, threatening bishop, knight to g5, and this pawn becomes the target for white. So e5 you never. It's very dangerous because of b takes e6. If this, then bishop g6, immediately winning on the spot. So and what about rook e6? Then we trade probably like queen to g5, or even.
Knight
But then when you even capture on f6, the king just escapes. So maybe something like this is better. But and when he plays king d7, this pin looks.
Yeah, I like
very,
knight d2 no, in that
here.
position.
You mean queen?
King.
Maybe let's start with this because then we are not vulnerable to.
Okay. Makes sense.
Is no something like this possible? Okay, so maybe knight start with this, or knight g5 with the idea to play knight e4, not to take on h7.
Even knight h7 is hanging, by the way.
Even this, so bishop d3, low trick, rook c1, b5. Very brave decision by Marco. He's trying to undermine the structure here. Then he wants to grab the d5 pawn, b5, and Dennis is thinking right now. So let's look at the last board, where again we have Eduardo playing for Lazio Scacchi. He's playing with white, and it seems like he's facing the strong international master Schitai Luka, rated 2456. So there is some rating advantage in favor of Luka, and looks like black is better here.
Is it extra pawn on the board?
Yeah, black is a pawn up.
And very, very strong pawn on e3.
Yeah. Also some rook f2, maybe.
Um, we have another quickly draw in the
Quick draw where.
game of Prohaska.
And nothing special here, I think.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
we have a result in the game of Sata Simone. Yeah, that's it.
in the game Satta Vladimiro versus Simoli, Sergio won his game. Let's have a quick look. Those teams are fighting for
Okay,
to stay in the team, but Stains Aroma.
yeah, it's
There was no
they don't
chance for
have
them
very
very
successful
well.
tournament.
But Grifone is still fighting, so very good result for them on the third board. And let's have a look at this game. C4 E5, the English opening. G3 Bishop B4. This is reversed Rossolimo variation. Bishop D2, Castle Knight F3, Rook E8. The main line A5. This is something I see for the first time. I don't understand this idea as always. We've seen a lot of a pawn moves during the tournament, right? So
Yeah,
again,
sometimes on
a5,
purpose, sometimes an accidents, but we have seen a lot.
d3, h6, of course preventing bishop g5, queen c2, knight c6, knight d5. Very common idea in the structure to play knight d5, attacking the b4 bishop, and after knight takes d5, c takes d5, white structure is a bit better here. There are some possibility even to play e4, I think d4, something like this. And you never know where to go with this knight. On e7, it's blocking the bishop a bit. After a3, you have probably to go to d6, which is not a nice
It's a
spot.
very, yeah, not
Maybe
very
followed by
nice
c6.
combination of the pieces.
So knight d5 is often seen as those positions. Bishop comes to f8. Uh, Bishop d2, d6, bishop c3. I like white's position for now. g6. Black lost a lot of tempi. e3, bishop g7, rook to e1, bishop to f5. Probably the black's plan is to play e4 at some point. Knight d2, knight d7, knight f4, bishop e6.
Um, do you want to quickly say the game of David Alberto before we take
Okay,
a break?
let's look at the game.
Hey, something is missing white's in white's position. Yeah, after knight b5, black took on a2. This pawn.
Looks very very risky.
It is
But how to
vicious.
trap the queen on a2?
Um, for example, if rook goes on e1, then queen comes on c2, and
Yeah, queen sort of escapes.
so that's not our
So
plan.
the queen escapes from the board, but with the white one.
mm. uh, okay, then I think okay, 94.
Knight
Bishop should
d4.
go somewhere to 7.
That's right, because let's say the queen goes back, then knight takes f5, t takes f5,
Bishop h5.
and the black's king's shelter is completely broken. So knight d4, bishop,
d7.
but then f4,
Yeah,
right? So bishop.
it's funny because okay, this bishop should go on c8. All the like queen has problems, knight has problems.
That's right. So maybe f4 or a1.
Oh well, f4, f5 is not quite nice for me, but I feel like
There's
there is
something
something
more.
on the queen.
There's something more.
Hmm. It
We
could
have
be.
no idea what.
I have idea.
You have idea.
I have idea. What if rook a1?
They only move queen b2
And now I like knight jump on b5.
again.
I free the place for bishop on d4, and I want to play knight c7 and bishop a7. Oh my god, I'm so clever.
Yeah, bishop
Don't
a1.
find anything and don't
Okay, I
disappoint
don't
me.
find.
I'm very excited about this.
So with knight b5 looks very nice. So a lot of problems to solve for black, and for now we are going to leave Alberto with his beautiful position,
Mm-hmm.
and he played maybe b5. No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. He didn't. He's
Okay.
thinking. So
Okay.
we are going to have a quick break now. So stay tuned and see you after the break. One.
Good morning, Matteo Zoldan. I'm right back from the playing hall, and I'm here with our main commentator, Oscar Wieczorek. So, Oscar, how games are going on today?
A lot of interesting fights. Especially, I would like to have a look at Leko versus Stella because it feels like Andrea has some edge here, and very nice blow, 93. We are going to see soon. So let's move back a bit. Here are the moves. So let's start from some because we've left the game at this point after e5. So knight d5 was played by Peter Leko.
So that this was a Sicilian, right?
Yes, it was the Scheveningen, the classical Scheveningen,
Oh,
and it's
my
not very
my favorite defense.
it's not very often seen because of the Keres attack, and that was played by Peter. So h6 and bishop e3 here. We are expecting h4, which is the main move and the most dangerous
One.
for black. But it was bishop e3, knight c6, and f4.
Okay. What do you think about this way?
Uh, to be honest, I've seen this f4 the first time. I always bishop g2. I've seen a lot of this, but f4 is a bit new to me. And but if it forces queen c7, then it looks good.
Okay.
Because usually after bishop g2, black plays something like bishop d7, queen e2, rook c8, the long castling, and knight e5, threatening something here.
Yeah, because having the bishop on g2, you miss some control on the c4 square.
Yeah, over the c4 square, that's right. So queen c7, bishop g2, and now Stella was forced to make this maneuver through the a5 square, and very nice way of playing by Peter Leko. He's not losing time. He's very active. He allows to trade this bishop, but in this case, it's his development is just perfect. E5 is being threatened. A lot of
Yes.
issues here.
Yeah, he gives us up the pair of bishops, but you can see that all the white pieces are developed, and he's ready to open the center, no? And then rook a1 is coming, is fine, e5 too, and black has a lack of development because the bishop is not already developed on d7. The other bishop is not on e7. The king is still in the center, but happened differently, right?
Yeah,
Because
because
Stella didn't play knight c4.
he, he, he did play knight c4, but
Played.
now bishop
Yeah,
d7 was played.
he didn't take on e3.
So what we've mentioned that it's very often a useful thing to wait a bit. No. The idea was to play rook c8 here,
Ah, okay.
creating
And then he
some
want to play
threats.
knight takes b2.
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
this is a typical trick. Or if the pawn would be on a3.
It would be even worse.
Yeah, even worse because you can take the a3 pawn. Uh, but okay, but rook c8 is coming, but white can play many moves. For example, he could play king b1,
And that was in the game.
with the idea to play bishop c1, you save your bishop to be changed, and you defend the b2 square. And
At the
if the
same
knight,
time.
yeah, if the knight takes, bishop takes, and the c3 knight is protected. So this when you play king b1, basically is the last chance of black to take the bishop, or you take immediately, or the next move you don't take anymore.
He didn't take because there is not so much. There is no big difference between bishop on c8 and the d7.
Okay.
Still, all those threats
My
very
long
important.
castle is not an option.
I don't think so because still e5.
It's very annoying.
Then bishop. Oh, you open bishop. Then maybe at some point rook d3, rook c3. I've seen Leko playing this in the rapid game. It was 2 days ago. He was playing the rapid and the same rook d3, rook c3 came. So
yeah, the other point is taking now this knight is totally out of the game because he can't go on d5. He must go
somewhere here,
somewhere on e8 or h7, and
that looks terrible for black.
You can see white is very active. There are some ideas like knight e4, rook d3.
Yes.
And okay, the most part of minor pieces, black minor pieces, are stuck
in the house.
In the house, yes, in the last two ranks. Okay, let's go back.
Bishop e7, bishop c1, e5.
So he played e5.
This is typical in when strike, especially when knight is on c4. I've seen it in the also in the main line of Scheveningen variation.
Yeah.
This e5. Of course, the
try
main
to
idea.
Destroy the white structure
and use the black squares.
And using the black square, because if white would take on e5, black takes on e5, and now this bishop is coming out, and black is very active and ready to castle short soon. But there are some ideas, bishop a3, bishop b4,
especially bishop c4.
Yeah,
very,
and bishop
very
c5.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Okay,
so knight d5. This is also a common.
So usually white doesn't take on e5.
Yeah, there are often it goes. I don't know, knight f5 is what
knight d5.
Making use of this X-ray here.
And this is a very classic way to
deal with
e5. To fight e5, because white wants to open the e file, because it's the file where the king, the black king, is placed.
So knight takes d5, pretty much forced. E takes d5, bishop e7.
Yeah.
Unpinning the e5 pawn. Knight f3. Okay, let's look a bit farther because rook d3, very interesting move by Peter Leko. So he's playing upon the weak bishop on e7 but there was a castle. Very interesting stuff by Andrea Stella. So queen
what's
e7.
The point? Takes.
I think about
check.
Alright, so if the rook takes, then queen c2 check, king a1 and king
mate.
And we've got a beautiful mate. so it's
Okay.
not possible to
This
take
is
with the rook. But there
yeah.
are
This is a classic trick
to use this battery
very
here.
very very typical. And
What
what
about
happens if he
this?
takes by pawn?
Queen c2 check,
Back.
king a1. Um, that's the question actually.
He takes the rook on d3.
Okay, I'm wondering maybe after queen takes. Oh, we've lost the position. Uh, After this, maybe it's useful to first
Mm-hmm.
play the move like this. So queen comes to h4, and now maybe something here. At least we've got this active rook, and the bishop on d7 is
Yeah.
no
See,
longer hanging. So
now again there are some ideas.
maybe on b2
Yeah,
even.
on b2, pawn, bishop takes, queen
Check.
takes, king a1, and now you have two options. You can take the rook or you can take the bishop.
I think taking the rook is
Probably
better.
taking the
And
rook.
okay, white uh, has two pieces, two
Mhm.
minor pieces for the rook, but also uh, black is three pawns
Mm,
also
mm, mm.
in this. So
Yeah, another idea could be here. Um, okay, sorry.
let's go back to the variation. It's
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
yes, you're right.
So rook f8.
Rook f8, queen h4. Yes. Okay. I play again knight
This
a3. He takes by pawn.
it's the same thing, but
I take. Oops.
with the queen.
I take c2. Knight here.
And queen takes d3.
Queen takes d3.
The same thing.
Yeah, that's similar. But the bishop now is on c1.
The question is about king a1 was not possible. Just to mention a
Hmm.
few moves ago after knight a3, the only possibility is to take with the pawn because
Yeah, it's mate. If
after
you take it by
this
rook, and if you move the
king,
king,
then
knight takes c2,
uh,
and yeah, and
it's the
here
same thing, right? So
and
after this we've got
yeah,
all but
or black could play. Maybe he could play this move.
maybe
Maybe this could be interesting too, with some ideas to playing
queen c2
queen
still
c2.
threatens queen c2,
Yeah,
threatens knight to
and
g2.
also knight takes g2 and attack the queen. Okay, let's go back to the game.
Now maybe okay.
So bishop b5. Hmm.
Let's look. Uh, uh, okay, so after the castling, he played bishop f4, bishop f6.
Mhm.
Looks very nice for Andrea at this position. He's got no problems with his king. There's a lot of pressure here. Some tricks. Bishop b5, rook coming to e8 with
Okay, I think
tempo.
rook d3 was not so good, or something happens later.
Probably he missed the castling.
Yes, I agree with you. Probably he missed the possibility to castle on black side
But
because
what about
he
bishop f4? Then I think
yeah,
still.
because if you keep, but now it's different because you have two rooks on the first rank, so there is no mate anymore. Take, check.
But
Maybe
at
there is
least
a
there's a draw.
perpetual.
There's a perpetual at
There's a
least.
perpetual. Yes, yes. This is also a typical way to get a perpetual. Um, okay,
So
interesting.
let's continue. Bishop takes f4.
Here,
Yes.
okay. Bishop takes f4.
Bishop
Bishop
f6.
f6, very active. Bishop c1,
Bishop b5
b5,
looks very scary for white. Queen d1 and the rook
queen
f
d1.
e8.
Now you can see black has all pieces active. The two rooks on the c and e file, the queen well placed, bishop is active, knight is active, and the bishop f6 is very well placed on attacking,
b2.
yeah, the long castle on white side.
And I saw after knight b4,
Mm-hmm.
I saw this position on the blank venue,
Mm-hmm.
and very very beautiful check knight a3. Again the same thing. If uh, if rook captures, then we get again the
Yes.
same
If a rook
tactical
takes
resource.
on a3, bishop takes on
d5
d4,
d4.
and queen takes check, check on c2, king a1, and checkmate.
The same tactical resource again. So very nice
And
combination
if
by.
he takes on a3 by pawn,
There comes bishop takes d3.
bishop takes d3,
If
queen
queen
takes
takes, then
d3,
bishop d4,
and
winning on the
again,
spot.
yeah, bishop d4, queen takes c2 check, king a1, and queen. No, maybe it's even better. Rook a
Bishop b2, and suddenly,
bishop b2, and now,
yeah. So in such
so
position,
now
it's
you're gonna
always
lose.
better to grab the pieces.
Yes. So better to grab the
Pieces
PC and you attack the rook. So bishop b2, you take
falls
on
into
h1, and it's
h1,
over. So now white has to play something like this.
and it's over basically because bishop b2 is not a really big threat right now because of f6, for example. So
Yes. And another thing, you maybe, oops, you can play something like a rook, rook b2, rook at c2, bishop b2, f6.
that's right. So basically, this is completely winning. So very very nice tactical idea by.
Or okay, okay. Let's go back to the game.
So bishop f3.
Bishop f3. Okay, white regrouping his pieces. He wants to have the bishop on a square where he's protected.
Also, rook e2 was a threat.
Yeah.
So and bishop e2 sometimes. So bishop f3, queen c5, improving his queen.
Hmm.
h4.
Yes. This
Looks
is
like
in if I were black, and now it's the moment that you have to find out a new plan, because you already achieved your goals. You are very active, but now you need something new, no? And
that's right.
black decided to play queen c5,
And
and
h4. So Peter was is seeking some counterplay here.
mhm.
So bishop c4, still improving his pieces. Very impressive play by Andreas Stelda. He probably wants to play b5, b5, b4, something like this. g5.
Yeah,
There is some counterplay here. h5.
yeah.
So what about bishop take
This is
h5?
also typical way, because black wants to keep his king side closed as much as he can, and obviously taking on g5 is not a good option, because white takes by pawn, and then the h file is open, and if you don't take, it's white that takes on h6, and then you should
Opening
be,
the g
yeah,
line.
and should be playing g6, but
h5
h5
coming.
comes,
So
and
h5 for the
yeah,
price of the pawn, he saves his shelter for the
yeah.
king. And now he's got bishop d5. So we've missed that before. That bishop c5 was the idea of bishop c4 was to take on d5. So bishop f3, but it's still not a big advantage for I
For
don't know
black,
for who.
for who? Yeah,
Yeah.
I would prefer black, but probably a tiny advantage. Let's see what the computer says.
Yeah, this is right here.
Okay,
It says it's slightly better for white
slightly better for white. Okay.
because right now there are no immediate threats to the white's king. Also, the structure is a bit more superior to white.
They played. He moves.
So bishop f3 was played. Bishop e6
Okay.
because he wants to preserve the bishops to create to still be able to attack the
Yeah.
c2 pawn.
And the bishop on f5 can attack the c2 pawn and be a defensive task on king side for black. So bishop e6, bishop e2,
b5,
b5, rook f1.
b4,
So he avoids that the bishop is coming on f5. Before attacking the rook, he doubles white doubles the rook on the f file.
bishop g4.
Bishop g4, bishop d3. Okay.
That's very nice. Okay, so Peter is not afraid of uh, this exchange here because his bishop is very well placed on d3.
Yes.
There is a pressure on f7. This bishop is not really doing anything in particular, and also there are gonna be some threats for the black king. And we've got the draw here, so let's skip past the.
Okay.
So bishop d3, bishop e3, bishop e5, and Andrea didn't want to accept this sacrifice
And he decided to play
to
a
simplify the
more
position.
solid line, exchanging all minor pieces and the queen. And now we have a rook endgame. It is
Double.
basically the looks equal.
In particular, in this position, rook e2
Yes.
threatening
Taking on
c2,
c2.
rook d2,
Rook
the only
d2,
move, rook
only
a1.
move. Yes, rook
Yes,
a1. And so if black was looking for a draw, he got it. But the game was quite interesting. Andrea played active chess, and only
still a good
in the last step he decided that a draw
the option here.
could be a good option for him.
Also
You
very
know,
good
Peter Leko is
results for
200 points
yes.
higher rating than him. So
Still very good result for Andrea to draw with
mhm,
black against such a strong player as Peter Leko. The
yes.
Scheveningen variation.
Mhm.
Still very good result for him. So let's look at the other games. Alberto has just won his game, and we on this streaming we left the this position,
Alberto Davide won against Angelo Damian.
and we left it here after very suspicious queen takes e2
Mhm.
and g4 was played.
Wow.
Very interesting. The idea was that after rook a1 immediately queen comes to c2 and queen looks like escaped from the deadly trap. So g4 is played first because he wants to push back the bishop. H
Mhm.
takes g4, h takes g4, bishop e4. If
Yeah.
bishop c8, then rook
Okay,
a1,
one,
and
and you
now
lose the queen.
I lose not maybe not the queen because I can still
Yeah,
save it in this way, but this position is lost for black.
yeah,
Two minor pieces for the rook, also a lot of
yeah.
weaknesses,
Technically speaking, it's over.
and I don't think even you lose immediately those pawns because of a6. I can
Mhm.
play like this and bishop to a7.
Mhm.
So he played bishop f e4, hoping for something here, f3, knight g4. Um, at least he's not lost on right now. King g7,
So
planning some
he has two pawns for a piece.
for the minor
Yes,
piece.
but
Still, the queen is
mm,
not well placed here and may be vulnerable to some attacks.
yes,
So King g7, trying to create some counterplay with rook h8, threatening rook h1, threatening mate even because after rook h1, king f2, bishop h4 mate. in his
Yes,
dreams.
but he
It's
needs
three moves.
3 moves, and White can probably simplify, doing some changes in.
And that happened bishop f3, so
Yeah,
typical way of dealing
he
with
changed.
such
Yeah, he
counterplay.
keeps
Just
the black. White keeps the black squares bishop because his black squares are weak, and he tries to change the white squares bishop. The thing is not working so much because it's closed by the pawn chain.
that's right. And also he's still defending the b3 pawn because after queen b3 here comes bishop h6 check.
Yes.
So everything
Yeah.
holds
Also some
right.
ideas. If black, okay, black takes on f3, queen takes, and now you can't play move like this because there is g5.
Not
Yeah.
now, Matteo, because of queen h2 mate.
I
So,
missed something.
but
Okay,
rook
but
f2 and then
okay,
g5.
yes, I was coming there, but I can play something like this.
Queen comes to a5
Yes,
and g5 winning.
and g5 is coming. Okay.
That's right. So rook h8 was played, hoping for the same thing because sometimes it's hard to spot those mates when queen moves all of the board.
Yeah, they are called the long moves.
Yeah, the long moves.
The long moves.
So
Since
exactly.
the championship match, Aliekin Ove was a specialist of these long moves.
Okay, so here bishop f3, intermediate move queen f3, the same position that we've mentioned before, and Angelo resigned here because still after queen b6, b3 there is bishop h6 check winning the
Again.
queen. So very nice game by Alberto,
Yes,
and
very
this
accurate.
this is it's something to remember in this variation.
I played the same against Aliekin. That's interesting.
I think more problematic is if black
See,
takes like
yeah, I
this,
agree.
and
Probably is a stronger move.
maybe it's
Yeah.
sometimes hard to play for a win here. All
Yes,
right, but
you don't play for a big advantage, but you reduce the options on black side because black doesn't have many plans. He has just one or two of them, so you can prepare for each for
and this is
both.
very simple system, and
Yeah,
I would like to recommend it to the viewers. C4, there because after let's say knight f3, there are a lot of different options. G6, C6, all of them
yeah.
possible. Now c4 and just e takes d6, and if he goes for e takes d6, you have a stable advantage, space advantage. You can develop your pieces and
Yeah, it's a solid option for a club player because Yekin is not a defense played so frequently. So the risk is that you involve a lot of time to study theory, and nobody plays you. And when they finally play, you forget what you studied two years before. No, so this is a solid system, quite easy to
remember.
remember and to learn, and it's an option that it could be you can understand and play without much study.
That's right. For example, I lost a game in the Alekhine system
Hmm.
during the Polish championship 4 years ago. I
You
think
were you were
I
white.
was white.
Okay.
The black was Grandmaster Bartosz Soćko,
Okay.
the husband of
You
Monika.
you played the
No,
four.
I played
No.
knight f3. And,
Okay.
all right, but
But you still play the four pawns
you mean
attack?
do the people play this?
See
I don't
someone.
know. Maybe. I don't have knowledge here. All right, and also it's worth noticing this plan e takes d6, c takes d6, knight c3. It's very important to play this to postpone knight f3 to not allow bishop
Yeah.
g4, and that
Another
gave
thing,
black.
yes, another thing that's important is playing rook c1 to defend your c3 knight.
Still postponing
Still
knight
postponing the development of the king side, and probably the next move you're gonna play also b3.
Yeah, that was played
Why,
against.
why you play b3? Because if black plays d5, you can play c5, and the knight is not coming on c4. That's very important.
That's right. And after knight c6, d5
d5 exactly,
coming.
and you can play d5 if your knight on c3 is protected by the rook.
Yes, so very very
And
nice things
knight
to
comes
remember.
on e5 usually. And here there are a couple of options. You can play immediately f4, or you can play bishop e2, because you take control of the g4 square to avoid after f4 that the knight is coming attacking the bishop on e3. And here black can play f5, he can play h5.
And that was in the game, but we didn't like it still. I think it's very pleasant to play such positions with white. You have space advantage.
Yes.
If you trade those bishops, you
Yeah,
have no
because another
problems
idea
at all.
is then to play bishop d4, and okay,
No,
I
black.
need your
Empty
one of
move.
your empty moves.
Yes. So,
So
Matteo, but it was the move played in the game actually. So you called the game the move empty.
no, h5 was not an empty move. Okay, so the bishop is very well placed right there.
That's
And
right.
when you decided it's the right moment to push back the knight from e5 square, you play f4, and then you change on g7, and then you replace your bishop with a queen.
So very very nice game by Alberto again. On the first board we've got draw, Lecco
Okay.
versus Stella, and let's look at the other boards because it is important for.
Oh, I see that.
Oh, this is something interesting.
Yes, your friend Daniel Sadinowski is still playing, but his team is winning 3-0.
Oh, so let's have a look.
Katie
Okay,
is winning 3-0 with the Latosca.
that's very good for Katie because probably they secured themselves the second place now, and Zacimento Padova
Even
is
without
winning.
their captain Andrea Rebegiani, the team is winning 3-0.
Yeah, Katie, that's right. And also Obiettivo Risarcimento Padova secured themselves the first place because where we were looking at the standings, they needed just half a point or something to.
No, it was already confirmed that they won.
So
Yeah, nobody could reach them because also in the worst case, okay, they're gonna lose 4-0.
yeah,
But
in this case,
they were a better average. Yeah, not easy to translate in English, but okay, they were first, even if they lost. But okay, they did.
I thought the third criteria is the match between teams, but
No, the first criteria is
the third. I mean,
the third.
yeah,
The
because
third.
in case of 4-0, they would be. Uh,
But yesterday the arbiters confirmed that they were already
all right,
champions.
so never
I
mind.
hope so because we announced it. Okay, but in any case they draw, so
So it doesn't matter
it
right
doesn't
now.
matter right now. Yeah.
This is probably some draw.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, of
Black
course,
has no pose.
Black has no chances to win, even if he
Yeah.
manages to
And
capture all
white
of them.
white pawns are
If it was like this,
yes, it was
well,
totally different. Yes.
but now,
Now, yeah, I agree with you.
but maybe there are some slight chances for white. I don't know. Play knight f4,
And then
try something, and just pawn one. Yeah, there are some slight
in this
chances.
specific position, would be better for white exchange the two bishops or not?
Bishops. Well,
Probably not.
probably not because
Probably
this
not.
bishop gives some possibilities for white. So here we are expecting a draw on the last board. Alessandro playing against Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel very strong player too.
And
So
here's a move. It looks like black
it's okay.
has an edge here. he's 2 pawns up.
Mm,
After grabbing
yeah,
one pawn is impossible because of the back rank issue.
yeah.
Rook f1 mate. So it looks like he's winning because
Yeah, White has some problems with his king that is stuck on
far
the
away from the
yeah,
fast
far
pawns.
away from the other side where pawns are, and also is quite blocked on the first rank.
Wondering about this because it's probably the only way for white to look for something, but here we probably just some king f6 and
And coming.
yes, so king, let's say king f6,
Mhm.
king e2, and now we should maybe defend the
Mhm.
pawn, b4, and try to trade those pawns because if we trade, then black is completely winning.
Yeah.
So let's go b5, already b5,
Six.
b6.
Rook. Okay.
Well, okay,
Right. Okay.
doesn't
Rook
matter probably.
b7 is enough.
Okay, so now rook b1,
Okay. One on
g3,
g3.
king here. Now
G.
g4, g2 is enough, of course, because even if you play rook g1, uh,
It's
there's
completely cut
enough.
off. Yes.
Yes, so
But if black likes, he can play king f4 before pushing the pawn
that's a very good
on.
point. So, but maybe let's be precise here and play rook a8,
Yeah,
right? So b7, rook
b7,
b8, king. No, rook
rook
b1,
by 1.
g5, king takes a3, and something like king g4, planning to hide here from the side checks.
Okay.
He
But
cannot
one
go.
question: what do you think here about? Yes. What do you think about this? Should be winning too.
Should be winning too, but my idea was just to.
You want to okay to
I
play
want to push.
g3, king
Yeah,
g4, king
because
h3.
yes, because the this is
Yeah,
if he goes king
you
b4,
use the
we are on time, right? So king
yeah,
b5, rook b7,
of course.
even so it should be pretty easy win
Yes, I agree.
for Daniel.
I don't have any doubt. Daniel is
He's a very strong player.
yeah,
Should win this easily. Okay, the other possibility, of course, is to keep the rooks on the board. So maybe something like this, but uh,
yeah.
now maybe
Rook c5.
rook c5, rook g5. This position should be winning. Should be winning as well. Rook c3.
Hmm.
Very nice
Yes,
move to cut off the
yeah. That
king.
is what I figured out. You are completely cut
And
off, and with, your king is stuck on the first rank. And now you
so
can start rolling on with your pawn.
I feel like there is no chance for Alessandro right now.
Mm-mm.
So let's have a look at this game, like this match. 3-0 for Chieti right now. So let's look at the final
Let's give a look
to the
to the women
women's section. Oh,
championship.
that's all right. We have the draw on the first board. Sochko Monica
Yeah.
drawing against Pets.
So by draw, Caissa Italia Pentola Agnelli is officially Italian champion.
So they needed a draw.
They need a draw. Now they achieved and they are Italian champion.
So congratulations for
Yeah.
them.
Congrats them to Perico and Garrett that are the captains of the team and to all the players of this team.
Very strong
Very
team.
strong. We have
Marina on the
Marina Brunello
Pets.
that achieved his final international master norm a few weeks ago.
So she's gonna be international master
He's
right
gonna be
now.
international master. He
So
was already FIDE master and women jam, and now she's international master. You just have to wait for the final.
very impressive from
Yeah.
her. Uh, let's have a look maybe here.
Mhm.
So c4. breakthrough.
Now we are just looking at Marina Brunello and
Zimina or
Olga Zimina.
so it looks like, of course, only white is fighting for a win here, but the king is exposed, so maybe it's not enough. So let's b takes c4 is pretty much forced right now.
Mm.
So b5 is
B5.
the idea, and I think it's not so simple.
Mm.
Okay, so queen, this looks very natural to play. b6.
And now Queen B2.
Queen b2, but you give possibilities for this check, and
Okay.
I don't know, it maybe even there might be some problems
There
for
are some problems in any
Congo.
case because White is better. His pawn is only 3 squares far to be promoted, and White has the grip on the position. Black needs to find a place where to move his queen.
And also,
Let me see. Again, White takes on c4.
okay, the idea is I think take on c4, you go
I
somewhere,
think the
let's say
c4 pawn,
king
you
g7,
cannot keep that.
and I feel like queen c6 because now if you move something somewhere there, I can place my king to g on g2, and there are no checks for now. Maybe some g4, but still for now there are no checks, so I can uh, move my pawn one square more. So
Yeah, g4, you have some ideas, but seems that they are not quick enough
yes, it seems like it's
because
not
pawn
enough.
is to 3 squares far from promotion.
It's
Okay,
very interesting. It looks
let's
very interesting, this
okay.
duel.
Let me see what happens on
The third
Paolillo
board.
and Maria de Rosa.
And let's
Okay,
look at Gaya's results in this tournament. She's doing
she won the first 3 games.
the first game she
No,
drew.
she drew. No, she drew the first game with Desiree De Benedetto, and then
She
she
won
won
three
three
games,
games
but lost
in a row.
to Tea. So and they agreed for draw now.
Now we have the captain of Lazio Scacchi.
Yes.
Welcome. Um, I would say we can have a break right now, and we are back very soon with the last step, the last hour of watching the final games of this Italian Teams Championship.
All right. So
Thanks
thanks
again
and see
for
you
staying with
soon.
us.
All right. Welcome back after the break. And this is our final message in
Yes.
this tournament. Most of the games are already over, and we know for sure what teams took the first 3 places. So in the men's section, it's gonna be
Um,
the first place
First
for
place took
Obiettivo,
2 points ahead. Oh yes.
Obiettivo Risarcimento Padova, the first place,
The second
scoring
place.
6 wins and 1 draw. This very unfortunate draw, so very big result for them here. The second place goes to Chieti.
It's eighth title for the team
Yes,
actually.
as
Out
we've
of
heard
11.
from Cristiano Quaranta, the chief of the team. Congratulations to him. Very good result for
Yeah,
his team.
and second place took Team Katie, uh, and the third place took Team Montepelon. Actually, we were just expected these results, and these teams were leading all the tournament, and also they were rating favorites. So just everything happened how it happened.
So congratulations to them. And in the female section, we would like to congratulate uh, Italia Pentole Agnelli winning the whole classification.
Mhm.
Very impressive result from them. It's
They also got like 2 points ahead. We don't have all the results yet.
because the games
Are
has
still
not been
going on.
finished, but for sure they are winning
Yes.
this tournament. So is this true right now?
What?
Yeah, they needed at least half a point. That's
Yes,
yeah.
and
So
when the first game, the players would draw, the team were just the members of the team congratulated each other. So
so congratulations and
all
the
the winners, the great tournament, great events, and actually very nice games I played. Even today it was very interesting games and um, very
yeah,
spicy positions were and very dynamic
that's
games we
right.
had.
We've had a beautiful game of David Alberto winning against Damia Angelo and also a nice
The
draw.
first board, yes, Andres Stella played, I think, extremely good and managed to make draw, but even he had the big advantage in some moments. Yeah, I
All
think
right,
everybody is happy with the results. It seems so far they are happy, but so we have 4 teams just
going down.
yes.
So some are happy, some are not. This is just these are the tournaments.
Yes, but the whole spirit here is more happy, and people come here to enjoy chess.
The
Chess
good weather
people. Yes, place is
outside,
very beautiful,
the
and
sea, the
yes,
Italian food. So
yes, Italian food is a
really, really
a bit of
nice
problem
event.
for women to gain some weight, and I'm one of them. But okay, we enjoyed pretty much commenting the game. I learned a lot of things
Me too.
here. Thank you very much
You have
for
shown me a few things on the
yes.
board. Also, we've interviewed uh, a lot of strong grandmaster
Yes.
featuring not only on this English version but in the other. We've
Yes,
had
and also I've looked many analyses of your
strong
Lego or
players.
Vallejo just sitting and analyzing the game.
We've had
There
Peter
is
Prohaska, we've
yeah,
had Vallejo Pons, we've had Daniel Sadzikowski, all of them. So we've enjoyed it very much. And thank you for watching our stream.
yeah.
And
Bye for now.
bye.